Charlie Kirk mentor and modern cheerleading creator Jeff Webb has been killed in a pickleball accident. Once again, this is one of the craziest headlines I've seen in recent times. Because not only was he Charlie Kirk's mentor and the creator of modern cheerleading, he died in a pickleball accident.
Almost exactly 6 months since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, he dies in a pickleball accident. And pickleball deaths are so rare in the United States that only 5 have been reported in the last couple of years.
Now let me ask, what are the odds that the same guy would go on to mentor Charlie Kirk from the time he turned 18 until the day he took the hit? It's almost like Trump and his pageants and Jeff and his multi-billion-dollar youth cheer network had something maybe a little trafficky in common. And my gut instinct when I first saw this is like, why is this adult man running a monopoly on a youth sport like
Charlie Kirk's world just took another hit, and this time it's hitting different. The person who helped shape his early path behind the scenes is now gone, and the explanation being given isn't sitting right with a lot of people. Something about it feels too neat. And that's exactly what's raising eyebrows. Jeff Webb, someone who was connected to Charlie long before the spotlight, has died after what's being described as a freak pickleball accident.
He was one of Charlie's earliest supporters and helped connect Charlie with all of his billionaire friends when Charlie was only 18 years old to start TP USA. He knew Charlie well before he met his wife Erica Kirk and knew Don.
And even saying that out loud sounds strange. But before getting into why this situation is making people question things, you need to understand who Jeff really was in this story. Because his role wasn't minor at all. Jeff Webb wasn't just another businessman with a loose connection. He was the founder of Varsity Spirit, the man who helped turn cheerleading into a massive billion-dollar industry. But beyond business, he was deeply plugged into powerful donor circles and leadership networks that operate quietly, behind the scenes. That's where Charlie Kirk comes in.
I'm Jeff Webb, and I'd like to invite you and your squad to participate in one of our camps this summer. I was only 24 years old at the time and ran the business out of my apartment for the first several years. I have a lot of help from people.
Jeff reportedly met Charlie when he was still very young, long before the recognition, long before the platform. And according to public information, Jeff helped him step into those early spaces, introducing him to people with influence, money, and access that most wouldn't even get close to at that age. So when people call Jeff a mentor, they mean it. This wasn't casual. This was someone who helped open doors, build connections, and shape the foundation of what Charlie would later become. And that's exactly why this situation feels bigger than it first appears. Then in September 2025, everything took a sudden turn. Charlie Kirk lost his life during a college speaking event in Utah.
Is wild. Charlie Kirk's mentor died this weekend from a pickleball accident. That's right, Jeff Webb, 76, fell during a casual game of pickleball, sustained a severe head injury 2 weeks.
And the impact was immediate. It sent shockwaves through his entire network, leaving people stunned and searching for answers. Jeff Webb didn't stay silent. He spoke publicly about Charlie, highlighting his character, his influence, and the direction his future seemed to be heading. He even suggested that Charlie's impact could have gone far beyond what people had already seen. And that statement stuck with a lot of people. But this is where things start to shift. Just a few months later, Jeff Webb is gone too.
What are the odds that Jeffrey Epstein would want to be friends with a guy who is associated with high school?
And not from anything expected, not from illness, but from what's being described as a fall during a casual pickleball game. That alone caught people off guard. According to reports, Jeff was playing normally, nothing intense, nothing unusual, when he fell and hit his head. The injury was serious enough to place him on life support for nearly 2 weeks. After that, his family made the difficult decision to remove support, bringing his story to an end. But for many following this, that explanation hasn't fully settled, and this is where it gets more complicated.
Another lawsuit now filed against cheer company Varsity Spirit. The suit includes new allegations of sexual abuse.
Pickleball is widely known as a low-impact sport, especially popular among older adults because of its safety. Serious accidents can happen, but fatal outcomes are extremely rare, the kind of rare that most people can't even point to a single example. And that's exactly why this situation is drawing so much attention.
My own hands, and sure enough, one Jeff Webb search produces 4 hits in the file.
So now you've got someone closely tied to a high-profile figure, someone who helped shape his early path, dying in one of the most unexpected ways imaginable. And that alone is enough to make people stop and question everything. One reaction captured the mood perfectly.
This was just some rare and crazy accident? Or did Jeff have some information that some people did not want getting out?
When I first read this, I thought this was a joke. Who TF dies from pickleball? 1 out of 328 million Americans, apparently. It sounds extreme, but that kind of response reflects just how unusual this situation feels to many. And Jeff wasn't just some distant connection. He had real access.
Instinct when I first saw this is like, why is this adult man running a monopoly on a youth sport like cheer? What is it about cheerleading that drew Jeff Webb in and made him want to take over complete control?
This is like a 3-day experience. These kids come in, they warm up, many stay right here in one of the hotels at Disney.
He understood how things were built behind the scenes, how networks operated, how influence moved. When someone like that suddenly passes, questions don't just appear, they multiply. But this is where things get more complicated. According to ongoing public discussion, some people point to details they find unusual. The reported lack of witnesses, the timeline, and the decision to remove life support. For some, those pieces don't fully line up. Still, it's important to be clear, nothing beyond the reported accident has been confirmed, and there's no verified evidence suggesting anything outside of that explanation.
This is a beast created by secular Jews. And now it's coming for Jews, and they're like, what on earth happened? And it's not just the colleges. It's the nonprofits, it's the movies, it's Hollywood, it's all.
Even with that, the speculation hasn't slowed down. That's when a new question started spreading. Was there anything Jeff Webb knew that could have been sensitive for Turning Point USA or related circles? It's not confirmed, but it's part of what's driving the conversation forward. At the same time, others are turning their attention to Jeff himself. Some describe his company as controversial, pointing to the type of environment it operated in. And this is where the story takes another turn. Because once Jeff Webb's name started trending again, people didn't stop at the accident. They started digging deeper into his past. And what surfaced added more weight to the situation.
Conspired to recklessly, intentionally, and willfully endanger plaintiffs by exposing minor athletes to illegal sex.
There have been lawsuits involving Varsity Spirit, the company he built, including claims related to workplace culture and safety concerns. Some of those allegations involve claims about unsafe environments within certain programs. These are serious claims, but they remain part of legal processes and have not all been proven. Still, their presence is a big reason why this story isn't fading. It's escalating. Those cases had already been circulating for a while, but now they're being viewed very differently. What's changed is how people are connecting those allegations to the kind of environment Jeff Webb was running, and that shift is pulling even more attention into the story. Because Jeff wasn't just involved in that space, he had major control over it. His influence stretched across the industry in a way that made him hard to ignore, and that level of reach is exactly why his name keeps resurfacing in these conversations. Then things take another turn. One user claimed he was even in the Epstein files. That claim hasn't been verified, but it shows how quickly speculation can grow once a situation gains momentum, and once people start digging, it rarely slows down. And this is where it gets even more intense. There's a side of the internet that believes this wasn't random at all, but something meant to send a message to others still connected to that same circle. One comment says, "This freak accidental death will act as a warning shot to everyone else who knows and operates inside the TPUSA circle." Another adds, "I believe the government is actually covering up pickleball deaths. And that's the real scandal here. Whether those theories are true or not, they're spreading fast. Because for many watching closely, it's not just about one moment. It's about what they see as a pattern. And that growing pattern is exactly what's keeping the story alive and gaining momentum. That's exactly why some people aren't fully buying the freak accident explanation, because to them it feels almost too clean for something that seems this complicated. And that tension is what's keeping the story alive. Now the focus has shifted. It's no longer just about how Jeff Webb died. It's about what he may have known, who he was connected to, and why those connections mattered. The deeper people look into that circle, the more questions seem to appear instead of clear answers. But this is where everything tightens up. At this point, it's not just about one fall on a pickleball court anymore. It's about how all the pieces connect. And for many watching closely, the deeper they go, the harder it becomes to see this as simple bad luck.